My friends, what you are about to see now permanently changes the balance of power in the desert and triggers a crisis that cannot be undone. Today is June 11, 2026, and the global geopolitical system has just entered a state of absolute panic and irreversible collapse. The images that started leaking from Iran last night are not just flashes in the dark sky. They are a historic snapshot of a military and political bomb that exploded right in the financial and strategic heart of the Middle East. While the mainstream media tries to downplay the seriousness of the situation, the raw truth is that the American destroyer USS Michael Murphy turned into the wind in the tense waters of the Gulf and simply started emptying its vertical launchers with surgical fury. There were 49 Tomahawk-guided missiles tearing through the darkness, one after another in a symphony of destruction aimed at radars, communication centers, complex anti-aircraft defense batteries, and the very headquarters of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard leadership. And look at the level of precision and cunning. This wasn't a skirmish limited to the coast or a mild warning. American precision weapons paraded with impunity all across Iran. They hit Karaj, Nazarabadi, Peshawar, the southeast of Tehran, Bandar Abbas, and critical infrastructure on Kesh Island and in the Strait of Hormuz. It was a simultaneous nationwide decapitation for the second night in a row. Iran's defense nerve center was melted down before dawn. But why is almost no one telling you the real consequence of what happened right after? Because most people don't understand that we're witnessing in real time what we call the blind scorpion syndrome. Pay close attention because this is what explains the current chess game. Iran was crushed. Its central nervous system was severed by Tomahawk missiles. The Scorpion is already dead, and its military backbone has been broken. But it keeps swinging its stinger in the dark, trying to hit anything around it in pure desperation, not realizing that its venom is gone. And the ultimate proof of this desperation came through an explosive revelation from President Trump on social media. He dropped a political bomb that put world capitals on high alert, categorically stating that the United States is attacking Iran, whose Navy, Air Force, and all defense and offensive capabilities have already been practically wiped out. But the real turning point, the statement he makes? But what really shook things up was the announcement that the Americans will militarily take over Karg Island in the very near future. This is serious, my friends. Karg Island is not just a piece of land. It's the nerve center that handles almost 90% of all Iran's crude oil exports before the start of this war. Trump isn't talking about dropping bombs and leaving. He's talking about taking full control of the oil and gas infrastructure, strangling the flow of money with a steel collar, applying the same brutal suffocation that was used in Venezuela. You know that well. It's the cutting of the financial jugular of a regime that depended on $500 million a day to finance terror. And the response of the Revolutionary Guard, you ask me? All right. The classic and predictable delirium of the blind scorpion, they classified the annihilation of your country as a mere evil action of the enemy. They claimed that the Strait of Hormuz is closed forever, and they began to fire their last spasms. They launched attack drones over the home port of the U.S. Fifth Fleet in Bahrain and over the Ali Al Salem base in Kuwait. They fired a long-range missile at the strategic Muaffaq al-Salti air base in Azraq, Jordan, which houses powerful F-33 fighter jets and...
Eles até alegam que atingiram 18 alvos americanos, incluindo um hangar e um F-35, prometendo
severe responses. They shout to the world that the strait is blocked. But the United States Central Command CENTCOM looked at the radar screens and debunked the hoax right away, confirming that hundreds of commercial vessels continue to transit normally through the regional waters. Their rhetoric screams. But Iran's military capability doesn't plummet toward absolute zero. While an imposing Marine Expeditionary Unit and Special Operations Forces, supported by the largest air power campaign in American history, prepare to turn Karg Island into territory under Western control, changing the global energy landscape forever. All of this sounds like the script for a linear and unstoppable victory, right? Sounds like fan talk. Wrong. And the reason is fascinating and shows the technological insanity of the modern battlefield. If you think war is just about missiles flying across the sky, wait until you see what we found out about the behind-the-scenes tactical moves that happened 36 hours before that Tomahawk rain. On Tuesday, panic almost escalated into an irreparable diplomatic and human disaster when an Iranian Shahed drone brought down an Apache AH-64 helicopter. Well, it's above the waters of the Strait of Hormuz. The hottest behind-the-scenes information indicates that, by a true miracle or a grotesque failure by the enemy, the Shahed drone hit the aircraft but did not explode on impact. This allowed the skilled Apache pilots to make a forced and desperate landing on the water. And what happened next is something that proves the technological abyss between the West and terror. The two American crew members were not rescued by a giant cruiser or an aircraft carrier, but by a maritime drone operated remotely by a civilian company based in Austin, Texas. The pilots were floating in the Persian Gulf and were taken out of the water unharmed by a surface robot. We are living in times of such advanced and bizarre warfare that if aliens were observing us today, they wouldn't be able to understand how we use unmanned drones to rescue combat pilots who have been shot down.
Por outros drones não tripulados. Olha a confusão!
It's science fiction turning into a daily survival nightmare. The American Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, summed up the brutality of the response when he coldly stated, "We will be busy tonight." The American operation is a masterclass in tactical annihilation, and for you to understand the true meaning of impact, you need to look at the composition of this force. How do you fly for 2 consecutive nights over enemy country that still fights back? Well, you send the F-16 CJs, the famous wild weasels. The mission of these pilots is insane. They serve as bait for the Iranian air defenses. The goal is to provoke the enemy radar operator to turn on their seed system. The exact millisecond that radar lights up, the F-16 fires a harm missile that follows the radar frequency and instantly destroys the enemy antenna. Got it? A radar that can see 400 kilometers away is obliterated before the enemy can even breathe. And with the doors busted open and the radars blinded, the Air Force's cargo trains come in, the F-15 as Strike Eagle fighters. They carry the feared GBU-54's precision bombs weighing almost a ton, designed to destroy underground bunkers. And they need these bombs because Iran, in a cowardly way, used the recent ceasefire period not to negotiate, but to hide the remaining 90% of its missile stockpile. Ballistic missiles and drones deep underground. They received 15 mysterious cargo flights from China before the war began. China tried to cover it up by saying they were just trinkets from Timur for Ayatollah Mustafa Khamenei, but the reality is that the Eastern Axis was arming Iran to the teeth. This entire arsenal was being protected in tunnels, while in the air, stealth F-35 fighters tracked the reactions of the Revolutionary Guard, and F-18 jets launched surgical strikes from aircraft carriers. At sea, American tolerance simply ran out. The oil tanker MT Juvier thought it could ignore the warnings of the American blockade, and the consequence was instant. It took 2 Hellfire missiles straight into the engine room. It's the end of the line for the regime's audacity, and here's the crucial point, my friends, the raw truth that the international press omits out of cowardice. The Iranian alliance is not a legitimate government. They are a mafia that has hijacked a nation. They are crime bosses running a state of terror. The friendly-faced bureaucrats who smile at the West, like President Pezeshkian and Minister Aragash, are puppets without any real power. They can't sign a peace agreement. They don't even have the blessing of General Salami and the top of the Revolutionary Guard. And that guard in its insanity has no interest in a sensible negotiation. They demand the impossible. They want absurd war reparations. They want the expulsion of all Americans from the Middle East. And above all, they want the unrestricted right to develop their nuclear program. Their tactical strategy was to pretend interest in peace, buy time, rebuild a formidable stockpile of 10,000 ballistic missiles and 10,000 drones, and use all that massive firepower as a barrier to protect the real objective, the atomic bomb. Because in the minds of these religious extremists, the only way to keep their oppressive regime in power is through the threat of global nuclear war. They fanatically believe that thousands of gods are on earth. And any force that opposes them is fighting against the divine. It is with this perverse narrative that they have committed crimes against humanity, ruthlessly massacring and exterminating the Iranian people themselves. They talk about 40,000 citizens killed, and even if the most conservative numbers point to 5,000 murders just in the last few months, the bloodbath caused to silence the opposition is undeniable and unforgivable. Negotiating with the current Iranian regime is like trying to have a dialogue with suicide terrorists holding a grenade pin. Sun Tzu in The Art of War always taught that a brilliant strategist should give his enemy an escape route, a golden bridge so that he can retreat while saving face. And that's exactly what the American administration tried to do. They gave them the opportunity to come to the negotiating table. The Revolutionary Guard, in their arrogance, rejected talks. The West's response was blunt. If you don't want to talk, then take these bombs. The consequence of this Iranian miscalculation will reshape the world economy. Europe, which for years has been lenient and complacent toward Iran, driven by shady energy deals, where even the United Kingdom profited quietly, taking small cuts from future white oil contracts tied to shipments crossing the Strait of Hormuz, now sees the scenario change drastically. With the United States preparing to take over Karg ISL and assume definitive control of the terminal, which dictates the rules of the Iranian oil market. Europe will have no choice but to abandon its covert sympathy for the Ayatollah and return on its knees to full alignment with the United States. It's the rawest geopolitics being written with fire and economics. And it's precisely because of this deep analysis, which tears away the veil of diplomatic lies and reveals the gears of real power, that I call on each of you who are here watching me now to head to the comments on this video. I want you to write exactly these two keywords that represent our undeniable verdict for today: strategic collapse. Type it now. Show the algorithm and the world that there is a community here of sharp minds who understand the true meaning of energy checkmate and the systemic collapse of an entire axis. But for you to keep following the story unfolding before your eyes with this surgical precision, you can't rely only on open networks, where the culture of censorship tries at every moment to silence the truth and drown reality in neutral narratives. The system tries to silence us, but we build our own unbreakable fortress. I invite you right now to join our exclusive platform, 100% free from censorship, our True Intelligence Bank. We are already a legion with more than 3,000 elite analysts who fund the truth inside. It's in our banker that we delve daily into the map of what really happens in the world. Without corporate filters, decoding military tactics, economic wars, and backstage moves of power. What does traditional television hide from you? Point your phone at the QR code that appears on your screen right now. Click immediately on the link I left in the description and in the first pinned comment. Come be part of this exclusive circle of intelligence. Now, for those of you who have been following me, who wear our shirt and trust our work, we've prepared a positive bomb, a phenomenal new development. We have just launched our newest YouTube channel in a major partnership with Davi Al-Meskani. Yes, my friends, my friend Davi from the prestigious Viva Israel channel. We kicked off the creation of the largest and strongest community of analysts and free thinkers on the internet. And this new project is called Breaking Point. And so that we can start melting the system from day one, I'm calling on my entire army, each of you, to sign up there right now. We need your help to reach the historic goal of 100,000 subscribers in just 30 days. Yeah, so now I leave it to you. There's a card on the screen, a link in the description, and in the first pinned comment. Shall we show the power of our community? Now, for those of you who waste hours of your time trying to find a good show on Netflix or a cool series on Amazon, I've solved this problem. We created a channel about series and movies with spot-on recommendations, already filtering out woke culture and any whining, and if there is any, we'll let you know. So check the link in the description, in the first pinned comment, and in the card that will pop up for our series and movie review channel. I'll see you there. Now, the best moment of our chat today, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and leave a like on the video because it takes a lot of work to make. Fortify your mind. I'm Shimon Oliveira and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.